Greetings, it is Brother Man Trucking. So today, I hop in the old school. I start it up, I get out, do a couple things, let it warm up for a couple minutes. Then while I'm out of the truck, it shuts off. It's like, well, that's interesting. All right, so I come back over and I try to start it, and it's turning, but it wouldn't kick over, it wouldn't start. So I'm like, all right, what's the problem? So if you have an old school, you're looking at an old school or whatever, the mechanics is very simple. You need air, fuel, and spark. So that's pretty much the basics. So I'm troubleshooting this thing. So I'm like, all right, maybe it's the coil, because I haven't changed that, but I changed the, there's a rotor, not the rotor, I think it's called a rotor cap inside the distributor. There's a thing in there that spins around. It has like metal prongs on there. It just spins around. It's for the spark. I replaced that, and I replaced inside here. If you take the cap off, there's 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4. Take the cap off. That's where the rotor is. And then no, that's not what it's called. I think it's the rotor. I forget. You can look it up. And then there's what's called an ignition module, which is inside here. So I'm trying things. I checked this wire right here to make sure there's no breaks in it. That goes to the fuel panel. I mean, not the fuel panel, the electric panel. And I went down to the parts store. I changed out the coil, which was right here. So I plugged everything back up. Said, all right, man, that's it. So turn the key, nothing. Sorry. All right, what else? So make sure to redo everything. Make sure everything's tight. You know, everything's proper. I checked this line again. So I'm like, what in the world? So here's what the coil looks like. I'm not taking the stuff back apart. So here's what the coil looks like. That's that thing sitting right up on top. It sits down in here like this. And then you got a little tab right here with a spring on it that touches down and makes contact with the components down in there. So that's what I changed out. I don't think this is bad. So I'm like, what in the world? So I'm like, I'm checking the battery connection, checking my connections. Like, I'm getting plenty of fuel. Fuel is fine. So I was like, let me just check something. So I recently, this is not that old. This is what's called an ignition module. So, and this is up under the cap. It has wires hook on this side and wires that hook on the other side right here. And it sits in there like that, and there's 2 bolts that hold it down. So I had the old one, which was still up under the engine. It was just sitting here in the side. So I said, you know what? Let me just put this old one back in here and see if the truck starts. Sure enough, I put the old initial module back in there. I turned the key, it fired right up. I said, isn't this something? So it might be, if you got an old school, you're looking at buying an old school or whatever, you know, keep some extra parts with you, because, you know, as the thing's going, you know, parts are getting very short on supply, especially for these old cars and stuff like that, or old trucks or whatever. So I just thought I'd put that out there. So maybe if you're looking at an old school on Facebook Marketplace and somebody says it won't start, just take some parts with you, you know, put them up on there, get it started, and keep on riding. See ya.